Thanks very much, Paul and everyone, and good morning. I'm interested in qualitative data from residents or citizens that gives insight to do service design for my organisation. I'm just going to share my screen, if that's okay. Just take you through a few bits. So I set up Knaresborough Connectors 18 months ago doing social prescribing. There's 16,500 people in Knaresborough. It's a strong community. We had about 25 people doing a community connector, asset-based sort of social prescribing role, working with community groups and societies. Then following the virus appearing, we turned into a community support organisation authorised by North Yorkshire County Council to provide the following sort of service to people, and then we grew to 130, from 25 to 135 people across the town who sought out neighbours with those services. We've had about 425 unique contacts over the past month or so, and once you're matched to a neighbour, your neighbour then helps you out, and we don't really kind of hear from you again unless you run into further difficulties. So we've been doing that during lockdown. But the challenge is, I suppose, is how do we ensure we continue to meet the needs of this town and surrounding villages, and crucially, how do we bring people with us on this development, making sure that we include people who actually we've really struggled to reach. So some of the data I'm hoping we might be able to help us find is data really that gives us insight to do service design and create meaningful projects. So moving from being a reactive service-based organisation to one that's going to set up specific projects in our town to make a difference to people's lives. So the bottom black box is key there, which is insight to do service design. Now we've had an engagement event with 40 people from across the town on a Zoom call, and I'll show you how we did that in a second. But what we recognise is that there's a layer of people and residents and groups that are just really hard for us to engage with during lockdown, and we need to understand the risks and strengths of those groups, and particularly risks and strengths from children and young people in terms of what they're facing during lockdown. So we're after qualitative data, hopefully from elsewhere, to use as proxy data where we've got gaps. So we have gaps with that middle tranche there, care leavers all the way down to adults with learning disabilities. And the type of questions we've been asking residents so far are, what are the challenges during lockdown and beyond for you and your families? What can you offer? How are you feeling? It's important for us to know that so we can plan projects and put things in place to support people. But that middle layer is really, really hard for us to engage with. And we're wondering if there's any qualitative data from other parts of the UK. Knaresborough's not massively different to other areas. And actually, when you're in lockdown in Knaresborough, it can't be that much different to lockdown in maybe Wigan or elsewhere. So we're wanting to see if we can use data as proxy data where we've got gaps, and if there's any comparative data to back up what local people are saying, that strengthens the sort of business case for the projects that we're doing. Just to show you then what we've done so far, we did an engagement event on Zoom, and what we did is we took people through the effect of the epidemic. So showed them a few stats. We told them that the Harrogate district in Knaresborough has a higher than average number of people in moderate to high risk groups. You see the whole systems partnership on there. That's who I actually work for when I'm not running Knaresborough Connectors. I think some of you may remember Sarah Overton from Kent CCG coming on the call. She works with Mark Farr, and some of our work was put on there. But obviously we're using everything within our capabilities in Knaresborough on to support the Knaresborough Connectors. We took them through what, if we'd done nothing in terms of social distancing, and then what we did is we showed them 5 different household types, and those household types are based on ONS stats, but I kind of adapted it slightly because, as you might imagine, there aren't many multicultural metropolitans in Knaresborough. I'm probably the only one in a challenged Asian terrace. So we came up with a kind of classification based on this ONS statistics for household types. I'll very quickly take you through them just to show you what we've done, because it highlights where we've got gaps. So suburban achievers, constrained flat dwellers, aging town dwellers, squeeze middle, although some of them haven't got squeeze middles, hard pressed living. And for each of those classification types on a Zoom call, we use something called Mentimeter. So I thought I'd just share that, actually, because it might be quite useful to other people. We use mentimeter.com. So I don't know if other people on the call have used this, but essentially the way that you do it is you go on the Mentimeter website on your phone, you enter a code, and when you're asked a question, what has this household got to offer, you type in your answers, and it all forms a word cloud that everybody could see. There's quite a quick way of actually getting, for each household type, what they've got to offer and what are the risks. So we've got a reasonable amount of data from 40 people across the town, and those 40 people are quite informed. They work in charities, they volunteer already, they're maybe members of churches and things like that. So they're running community groups, these people, so they have a reasonably good understanding for all these households. But where I'm struggling, I suppose, is getting this sort of qualitative data from care leavers, kids in care, hard-pressed living households, teenagers 18 to 25, and adults with learning disabilities. Now, I could try harder to go and find that myself in my town, but it's really, really hard. So I'm just interested if there's any data out there that covers some of those hard to reach categories that we can use then to build some really interesting projects to solve some of these wicked problems that we're going to be facing, particularly because we think there's probably going to be a second wave. So thank you very much. And just so you know as well, the other things that we've done is we've shamelessly copied ODI in putting a Google Doc open for people to contribute to, and that's been really successful. So I want to say huge thanks to Paul and Amy and the team for inspiring me to do that and continue to try and be really, really open in what we're doing. So thank you very much.